Football has a racism problem. Racist abuse has been on a steep rise in world football over the past few years, despite the half-hearted attempts by leagues to address the issue. And a lack of serious punishments for racist behaviors by fans and players has ensured that whether it's England, Italy, Spain, or the US, racism has become a fixture of world football. Today, I'm not going to be solving racism, but I do want to take a specific look at one anti-racism campaign in particular from Serie A in 2019 that was simply called No to Racism. Now, what brought me to make a video on this topic? Well, the campaign exclusively used artwork that depicted monkeys. It's not debatable that Italian football has produced some of the best teams and best footballers of all time. Personally, my favorite player in history is Pirlo. It's actually why I use the number 21 at the end of a lot of my online usernames. However, throughout what feels like every era of Italian football, from Baggio to Maldini to Pirlo to present day, racism has been more than just an underlying feature of Italian football. From Udinese ultras sending a blackmail letter with swastikas to the club president and vandalizing the club's headquarters to stop a transfer of a Jewish striker in the 80s, to Paul Ince and Ruud Gullit making statements about the open racist abuse in the league in the 90s, to Balotelli in the 2000s receiving racist abuse from Juve fans, to the 2010s where Kevin Constant and Nigel de Jong had bananas thrown at them by Atalanta fans, to more recently the abuse Moise Kean and Lukaku have faced in the present day. It's clear that something is wrong in Italian football. It's so bad that if you go to Wikipedia to look up documented racism in association football, the section for Italy is double the length of every other country. But the purpose of this video isn't to sit here and just talk about which country wins the Ballon de Racismo. The point of this video is to look at this.
What the fuck is this piece of shit?
The No to Racism campaign, which was initiated by Serie A chief executive Luigi de Siervo, featured work from artist Simeone Fugazzotto, who is an Italian artist who almost exclusively draws monkeys in his work. So my first question is, why? Why in the hell would you hire an artist who only draws monkeys to combat a complex, painful issue like racism that uses monkeys as caricatures for human beings? That's like posting Stop Asian Hate while using a photo of an Asian person getting into a car accident. The artist tried to explain the logic behind his artwork, saying, "I only paint monkeys as a metaphor for human beings. We turn the concept back on the racists, as we are all monkeys originally. So I painted a Western monkey, an Asian monkey, and a black monkey." Which, you know, now that I think about it, it does make perfect sense. If you were ignorant enough to just ignore the centuries of racial stereotyping, dehumanization, and intergenerational trauma that's associated with the depicting of a black man as an animal. Players, of course, came out with statements following the campaign, with I think the most interesting of which coming from Sylvain Distin, and he said, "I just really don't get it. Are they trying to make things so big that all the little incidents that happen every weekend in Italy just look normal? I don't understand what they expect. What kind of reaction do you expect to get with this kind of act?" And I think the natural bewilderment that's captured with this quote really does speak for all of us at the end of the day here. Multiple anti-racism organizations came out and, of course, you know, condemned this. And even clubs like AC Milan and Roma came out with statements about it, obviously conveying their disappointment with the league. The chief executive of Serie A responded to the racism allegations by saying, "Football is an extraordinary tool for conveying positive messages, fair play, and tolerance. Simone's paintings fully reflect these values and will remain on show in our headquarters." This is quite possibly the worst double down in the history of all double downs. Because here's what these paintings actually reflect. They are a direct look into showing just how far away Serie A is from actually combating racism. Not seeing an issue with this artwork and then further doubling down when people are trying to correct you on it mirrors their unwillingness to educate themselves. The slightest little bit of empathy, hell, even just a single conversation with a black person, would have led to the realization that this artwork was beyond insulting and an awful idea. I guess I shouldn't be surprised that the same people who didn't see anything wrong with depicting Balotelli as King Kong on Big Ben after defeating England in Euro 2012 also wouldn't see anything wrong with using artwork of monkeys in a Say No to Racism campaign. What makes this even crazier is that this campaign was actually a response to an open letter that all 20 Serie A clubs penned, which recognized that the sport had a racism problem and asked the league to do more to tackle it. This was them trying to do the most. It's pretty clear that there weren't actually any anti-racism organizations that were consulted on how to conduct this anti-racism campaign. Obviously, no black players had their opinions taken into consideration either. If the league aren't even doing the bare minimum to even understand what is and isn't racist, then how could anyone believe that they are serious in actually curbing racism in the league? At the end of the day, all this was a half-hearted attempt at feigning as if they care about racism that ended up exposing just how disinterested in combating the problem they really are. And this isn't just to get on my high horse and call Italy a racist country while absolving other federations of guilt. We saw the disgusting racist bullying of Vini Jr. in Spain this whole past season that the entire league hopped in on. And while the English media were very thorough in their criticisms of the Spanish, they were much less rigorous in commenting on the racism in their own leagues that players like Ivan Toney, Kyle Walker-Peters, and Son faced all last season. And Americans, we always try to make ourselves seem so virtuous, but even MLS had a player call another player a racial slur this season, and the league responded with a light stance of suspending him for only 6 games. Not every league in the world is going to be home to Mussolini's club, but it's important to acknowledge that this isn't just the Serie A problem, it's a racism in football problem. But you know that things in Italy are getting pretty bad when even Mussolini's club thinks that things were taken a little bit too far. Again, I don't have the answers to fix these issues. I'm just some dude with a microphone who knows how to edit videos and loves football. But it hurts to see the beautiful game continuously tarnished like this. And while of course there are a lot of social issues that I'm not 100% educated on that obviously are leading into this No to Racism campaign, I just can't help but think that if we just had more black people in positions of powers in these leagues and in administrative positions in football in general, we would start to see a lot of these issues be dealt with and handled in completely different ways. However, as fans, all we can do is ask the leagues and clubs that we follow to do better, push them to listen to the advice and counsel of anti-racism organizations, and call out racist behavior from all supporters when we see it, especially if they're from our own clubs. I don't know how to stop racists. I don't know how to end racism. All I do know, though, is that when good people stop speaking up about it, that is how racism wins. Hey, thank you guys for spending the time to watch my video today. If you got to the end of it, then clearly you thought it entertained you, so subscribe, that way you don't miss the next video. I know it's been a long time since I've been active on here. My channel will probably be dead these next few uploads, so any like or comment would go really far in helping out the channel. Thank you so much to the OG subscribers who have been with this channel since its beginning. I know all of you guys. I remember all of your names. I see all of your names in the comments. Don't think I don't. Peace out, everybody. And until next week, take it easy.